You are now watching Angel Ramirez Jordan, IKYG.
So, since I came on social media, and mainly YouTube more than anything else, there's been this huge discussion about race, primarily what is black and what is not black. This was kind of new to me, especially with my background, my family. We're all different shades from yellow to dark skin. Now, I have three aesthetically black looking grandparents. My dad's dad is a light skinned black man. My dad's mom is a very dark skinned black woman. And those of you who know me know that they come from the Caribbean island of Jamaica. Then my mom's dad is a brown skinned black man. And my mom's mom is a more European, indigenous, Indian mixed, fair skinned looking woman. I wouldn't say she's black. She might have some black in her, but I wouldn't say she's black. And they come from the Caribbean island of Puerto Rico. So growing up for me, I didn't feel like I had different races in my family. I knew I had different cultures in my family. This was clear, from the language, traditions, the food, the music, etc., which essentially that's basically what culture is. But it also wasn't completely different culture-wise because Jamaica and Puerto Rico were very close together. They're both in the West Indies, both in the Caribbean. So really very similar. The food was very similar in some aspects, Like I said, that was really just a culture difference. Like you get people that say their race is Hispanic or Latino, right? But that's not a race, it's a culture. I remember once on Facebook there was a Hispanic page and he posted a video of a very dark-skinned black Puerto Rican woman singing a song in Spanish. Then there was some sort of uproar in the comment section, mainly from African Americans, not Puerto Ricans, not Dominicans, not other Hispanics, African Americans, saying, she's not Spanish, she's not Hispanic, she's clearly black. Now, to the Hispanic community's credit, since we know there's a lot of colorism in the Caribbean Hispanic communities, they actually came to this black woman's defense and said, hey, Hispanic comes in all colors and shades. You can be white and Hispanic. You can be black and Hispanic. You can be biracial and Hispanic. But that's a whole different video for another time. The point was, to the eye, my mother is a biracial looking woman. She looks black and white. So even when I would visit my grandparents or my family in Jamaica, I never felt like I wasn't black because the island itself, although the majority is a black demographic and population, there are many shades and even variations in Jamaica, from part Chinese and part African descent. Some have a lot of African with a tiny drop of Arawak or Carib blood, but the island is black. In Jamaica, they don't really use this light-skinned or mixed label to identify people. In Jamaica, if you're biracial, they actually call you brown or even red-skinned, but still see you as black. It was different going to Jamaica because in New York, I was either light-skinned or that mixed kid. But when I went to Jamaica, they called me brown. So different cultures identify you differently, which I've gotten all my life. All my life, I've been identified by the African American community as biracial. But as soon as they find out that I have a Spanish and English last name, like Ramirez Jordan, some of them will then say, see, you're biracial. You're part Hispanic and part black. Again, Hispanic isn't a color. What color or race is Hispanic? You show me a Hispanic woman like J-Lo, and I'll show you a Hispanic woman like Claudette Ortiz. Or you show me a Hispanic man like Rick Gonzalez, and I'll show you a Hispanic man like Tego Calderon. It just shows that Hispanic is not a race. You can be any race in Hispanic. So you can't really identify someone by their culture. Pitbull even says he's a white man. He clearly says he is a white man who happens to be of Hispanic culture.
One of the strikes that I had against me getting into the rap game, being white, blue eyes, from Miami where nobody thought anybody could rap, and Cuban. I mean, mother.
Now, then you have some African Americans who are a little more knowledgeable of the genetic makeup of Afro-Latinos and Puerto Ricans, and they'll be like, oh, you're Jamaican and Puerto Rican. Oh, you're full black. So it seems many people will identify you how they see you, or even regarding the knowledge they may have or may not have. So yeah, I was used to being judged as a biracial guy. I didn't like it because it made me feel like I had to defend my mother who happened to be biracial. And I had to let them know she's not white. For one, she doesn't look white. So that was just some background info really. But the point of this video is I've seen a particular comment pop up on my YouTube videos a lot from not only, quote unquote, full black people, but also half black, biracial or mixed people. They say that biracial and mixed people need to start their own race and segregate themselves. I've seen that comment come from both sides. Here's the problem I have with that whole separate race thing. Now, let's not go into the whole, oh, race is a social construct narrative, because I'm going to do a video about that soon. So be on the lookout for that, right? You got to make sure you're subscribed. Notice I said biracial and mixed as though they were two separate things, which I normally say that, right? You not notice I normally say biracial and mixed? I have a video called Mixed, Light Skin, and Biracial People Are Not Black. So I want you to watch that. I'm going to put the link in the description. Now, the reason I say biracial and mixed as if they're different is because biracial means two separate races, and it normally refers to two parents of two separate races. So we also assume when someone says biracial, they mean half black and half white. It's an assumption we make. When we say mixed, we give it a wider spectrum. So mixed could be a 3/4 black and quarter white person, or triracial, like equal parts indigenous, white, or black. Or mixed could even be half Indian and half Chinese, anything like that. Technically, someone who's half, Asian and half white would also be classed as biracial. But the point is, a lot of people have their own use of these words. But the one thing that is always going to be cemented in the definitions is that biracial is someone of pretty much two equal parts black or white and so forth. Steph Curry, he's 3/4 black and a quarter white. He's not biracial. Technically, he's mixed, but a lot of us will see him as black. So myself, I personally don't fit into the criteria of a biracial person, but I could fit into the criteria of a mixed person. Now, I've always referred to myself as a mixed black guy because the majority of me is black, with a little touch of white and a smaller touch of Native American. Very similar to that of any person who descends from enslaved Africans or indigenous peoples. So here's my problem with biracial and mixed people starting their own racial group. Tiger. He's half Jamaican and half Vietnamese.
A lot of people don't know that I'm, half and half Jamaican and half Vietnamese, so I eat a lot of Asian.
Steph Curry. He's 3/4 black and a quarter white. Jadena is half Nigerian and half European American. Kristen Cruick. She's half Chinese and half Dutch. Zayn Malik. He's half Pakistani and half white British. So all of these people are either biracial or mixed, right? But how could you put all of these people in the same racial category and say, here you are, y'all are all the same? It wouldn't work because they look very different and technically they would be different races. How could you judge someone's racial status as mixed and then shove anyone that's not full anything in the same box? What you're doing is shoving them in that other category, which personally the other label I find offensive. Here you go, let me stick other on your back. You don't even deserve a label. You don't even get to pick a race. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have the right to identify as being mixed or biracial, but to put every variation of mix into one category is asinine. Having spoken to people who were Pakistani or Indian, they tell me that Zayn Malik, although half white, he's still considered Pakistani or Asian. Now, in the UK, Asian doesn't refer to Chinese or Korean or Oriental people. Remember, Asia is a big continent. And in China, their acceptance of biracial Chinese and other variations depends on the shade of your skin. I did some research, and it appears that if you're half Chinese and half European, then they like you, and they'll accept you as Chinese, but still acknowledge you're mixed, but they'll accept you as Chinese. It only really becomes a problem when you're half Chinese and half African descent. My personal opinion of why that is because of the black aspect and how dramatically different a mixed Chinese person would look once you add that African blood. Their features change a lot more dramatically than, say, if they were half white. And also because we know that there is a great deal of colorism within countries like China also. But it's that dramatic change that happens once you add that touch of black. The black gene is very dominant, right? Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, it's very dominant. But some black people say that we need to stop accepting half black, half white people as black. So when you get the likes of Colin Kaepernick, whatever his name is, or Jesse Williams, brothers that look like that, standing up and identifying with their black half rather than their white half, some people have a problem with it. I personally don't because I see them as black. Now, white people obviously don't see a biracial person as white and they won't accept them. So why should the black community accept them, right? Well, again, it has a lot to do with looks. These brothers and sisters don't look white and in some cases have features that more closely resemble their African blood, rather than their European. White people have always tried to claim Mariah Carey, right? Because half of them don't realize her father is full black. She's half black. Her kids are 3/4 black. So white people just weren't aware that she's half black, or in some cases, she's black. So of course, they want to accept her and they'll claim her. But here's the thing. If you don't want biracial people of African descent identifying with their blackness, then you know you got to give Bob Marley back because he's half white. You got to give Lenny Kravitz back. He's half white. You got to give Naomi Campbell back because she's part Chinese and part Jamaican. You got to give Tiger Woods back. Well, actually, I think we gave Tiger Woods to the white community a while ago. You got to give Neo back. He's African American and Chinese. You got to give Miguel back. He's Mexican and African American. Got to give Khalees back. She's African American, Puerto Rican, and Chinese. Again, with the whole, these are just nationalities that I'm stating here, but it's the assumption that people have with nationalities and ethnicities and race that they confuse them, right? They confuse them, but you got to give it back because if you base on the confusion, she's Puerto Rican and Chinese, that's not black, right? You got to give Barack Obama back because, you'll have to reclassify him as the first biracial president, right? You got to give Malcolm X back too, because he's got that quarter white in him. Huey P. Newton got that quarter white in him too. Carmelo Anthony, you got to give him back. He's not 100% African. He's half Puerto Rican. Shamar Moore, ladies, you got to give his biracial ass back. Faith Evans, R&B, we got to give her back. We got to make her have her own classification. No longer black music, right? Boris Kodjoe, half white. Eartha Kitt, half white. Blake Griffin, half white. Oh yeah. You got to give Steph Curry back since he's a quarter white. My point is, a lot of these people identify as black, and they are black. The very people that claim to be full black and hold the monopoly on blackness are, funnily enough, children of the African diaspora. And they will have part white in them from slavery. Even the Hodge twins, who are both black, are only 58% African. That's less than me. So if you're going to put my 62% African ass in a separate mixed category, along with these other non-full black people, then the majority of you African Americans are coming with me. Yeah, we all gonna sit in this mixed and biracial or whatever mixed other category. We gonna sit there together. Yo black ass, my yellow ass, their brown ass, we all gonna sit there together. Because if we want to be pedantic, the only people who truly hold the monopoly on blackness are our brothers and sisters in Africa who are unmixed. The ones that didn't intermarry or suffer at the hands of colonialism. So unless you've taken a DNA test and you're 100% African, sit down and keep quiet. Because putting light-skinned, mixed, and biracial people down isn't going to make you any superior to white people. Not accepting mixed people won't make white people like you any better. It won't increase your social status. Stop trying to be like white people. These fucking fake-ass purists with their 10 to 25% European blood thinking they can tell me I'm not black? Sit down. Seriously. You're not full black yourselves. You're not 100% African yourselves. You have no place and no right to tell anybody that they're not black when you're not 100% African yourselves, right? I'm going to put a link in the description to a video that explains the definitions between race, ethnicity, nationality, and culture. Because here's the thing. A lot of the things that I said here were nationalities. Some of them were race. But I did that because it makes it easier for some people to understand. But I want you to click the link in the description and watch the video. It explains exactly the true definition of race, nationality, ethnicity, all of that good stuff. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Angel IKYG. Check me out on Facebook. The link to my Facebook will be in my description. Angel Ramirez Jordan. Peace, love, and coconut oil. IKYG.